What up? What up? Good morning, GMG. Third Wednesday, what fucking day is it? Wednesday. Wednesday, May 4th.
June 4th.
June 4th. June 4th, 2025. Look at that. Another beautiful day to have. A beautiful day. I go by Coast in the house. Tyler. Good morning. How you doing today?
I'm good. We thought maybe summertime might be slowing down a little bit in the crypto streets. PumpFun says no, we're going to be busy. It's going to be a busy couple weeks. So it's good. A lot to talk about.
PumpFun, Trump versus Magic Eden.
Oh, yes. I already forgot about that. Like the news cycles move so fast. Magic Eden owes Alan a couple beers for taking some of the spotlight off of what looks to have been.
Hey. We have a lot to talk about. You're wearing the Farcoin hat. I mean, that was what I did.
Yeah.
God damn. So there's that. Like the memes. There's a lot to talk about today. So anyways, today on the show, we'll talk about all that. PumpFun did what? That's the topic of the show. So we'll talk about PumpFun and what's going on. I'm curious about some takes here. And then we're gonna talk about we'll talk about Tyler's Top 100, which there's a lot of topics. We'll then also be joined by Jason Atkins from ORUS, very good friend of mine and one of our partners. So can't wait to talk to him about all things, market making and the markets, etc. Actually, someone with extremely great insight and his finger on the pulse in the market. Probably one of the people I know that has the closest finger on the pulse to the market in crypto. So really curious to see Jason and what he thinks overall. Then today we're bringing back the ETH giveaway. Guys, we weren't going to do a ETH giveaway yesterday with Joe Lubin. Okay. So cut me some slack here, but we had to make the call with Sins before the show. But so we'll do 3 on Friday, but that means we'll do 1 today, 1 Thursday, and 3 on Fartcoin Friday with Spencer, who will be joining us, Spencer Ventures, or Cap Gains, to talk about Moonbirds on Friday. So that'll be exciting. And then last but not least, this show is powered by WellConnect. WellConnect is the connectivity network shaping the future of on-chain UX. If you've connected to Web3 app, you've seen WellConnect. That blue logo, it's everywhere. And Icon of Trust in crypto is recognizable as Visa at checkout. Want to learn more? Follow WellConnect on X and Telegram to stay ahead of what's next. Tyler, it looks like you're going to tell me what's next today, baby.
For daily NFT and crypto analysis. Tyler T on FOMO hour calls the kids can't miss.
Ready to bash the Bears. Yeah, looking at markets here, a little bit weak today. Bitcoin down 1%, 104.4. Ethereum was outperforming. It still is slightly down 0.6%, 2,600. Sold down 3%, lagging a bit at 155. We had Uniswap and Aave, top alt movers on the morning. As we look across some of the other headlines, the Ethereum ETFs are on fire. Another $100 million in inflows yesterday, 12 straight green sessions. So the ETF buyers are piling into ETH. We had Trump Media file for a spot Bitcoin ETF with the SEC, aiming to launch the Truth Social Bitcoin ETF. That is in partnership with Crypto.com and Yorkville America Digital. Other Trump news, controversial on the day. So Magic Eden announced that they had collaborated with the Trump Memecoin team to launch a Trump-branded crypto wallet and trading app powered by Slingshot. Though the Trump family, the sons, Donald Jr., Eric, quickly came out and denied any connection to the product and warned them to be very careful. So that is still developing. We had Consensus CEO Joe Lubin on FOMO Hour yesterday, and he dropped some alpha, perhaps some news that a major sovereign wealth fund from a very big country is considering building on Ethereum. So that's going to be a huge headline to watch. We had SEC Chair Paul Atkins say that it's a new day for the SEC and that he's prioritizing a rational.
Oh,
always good to hear that.
Oh, he's back. Okay. What were you saying? Sorry, it cut for 2 seconds. Like 1 second.
SEC Chair Paul Atkins calling it a new day for the SEC, prioritizing a rational regulatory framework. So always good to hear that. In corporate treasury news, these headlines keep coming. NASDAQ-listed edtech firm Classover is going to form a Solana treasury. They already purchased $1 million worth. We had Solar Bank, an energy company, announce a Bitcoin treasury, and then breaking before the show, this Chinese firm Weebus, raising $300 million for an XRP treasury. So Sol, Bitcoin, and XRP. Now, if we get down to token airdrop and protocol news, PumpFun arguably the biggest story of the day. Reportedly plans to raise $1 billion in a token sale at a $4 billion valuation. No word on a potential airdrop. So that was somewhat controversial as well. Rec Drinks sold out 180,000 drink cases. Fastest sellout to date. You love to see that. And also just a quick notice for those who did mint, you have until June 6th to burn those for those rewards and cases. So the clock is ticking. Kaido announced that it's live on Instagram and TikTok, its socials at least, and then teased that their algo should be coming there in the near future as well. They also started an injective campaign. Rounding this out, AI pretty much chopped on the day. The leaders were red. Memecoin leaders are red as well across chain. So Solana memes took a hit in the wake of the PumpFun token news, but it wasn't just Solana. The ETH memes were down as well. So this is a broader meme coin sell-off. We saw Cled, a notable mover in the Believe app eco, up another 60%, 24 million. In NFTs, let's see, Claynosaurus was the big headline of the day. They ended up minting 97,000 of these Popkins packs. They raised $19 million. So they sold in total $19 million. There is a refund component of this. Effectively, if you got a pack that does not have this Popkins in it, you get your money back. So that led to the high number, but still a huge sale.
So how many Popkins are in there?
25,000, I believe.
Okay, got it.
So it seems like 3/4 of this is going to get refunded. So closer to 5 million, but still pretty massive demand.
Got it. Okay. Love to see that. There's a lot to talk about. That's for sure. Just quickly, Mando, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How you doing today?
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Fantastic. We're good. We're good. We're vibing, despite some troubled markets, but we're good. We're just running through it. Tyler was running through the topics of the day, but I'll go to you real quick before I go back to Tyler, because I definitely want to talk about PumpFun, and I want to talk because that's that news, and I would, I definitely want to hear both your takes and your opinions, because Tyler, you have some stronger opinions about that one. I've been reading your texts and I've been reading your tweets, so I know you got some good opinions on the PumpFun consensus or non-consensus trade here. And I do want to go over the Magic Eden and Trump shit, because that's funny. That's actually funny as fuck. I shouldn't be laughing, but I thought it was funny. It's just, this space is hilarious. But quickly, Mando, anything on the market that we need to pay attention to, or is it just all related to PumpFun and we may as well just go there?
No, there's been some tariff headlines. So we just sold off over the last hour or so because Mexico came out and said they're going to retaliate to these steel and aluminium tariffs coming out from the US. So I think there's like an idea that we could see a bit of a rise in, let's say, short-term tariff headlines, and that's going to drag us a little bit lower. The markets, other than that, the broader macro market feels okay. We had like an okay jobs figure yesterday. Stocks have been fine, so nothing there. I wouldn't just tie this to PumpFun either. Like, I think this is just a general chop period here. I don't think this is necessarily like PumpFun causing this. Bitcoin's barely moved, right, over the last few seconds. It's like a 105K basically the whole time.
Yeah.
I think we just create the narratives. As for my take on the PumpFun stuff, like, there was a good tweet I saw on the timeline maybe a few hours ago, which was like, people who were tweeting to get $500 of Laudio are complaining because PumpFun wants to raise $1 billion. Like, I think part of it is just like oh my god, they're extracting from the ecosystem. It's terrible. Like, it's revenue, man. Like it is revenue at the same time. Like they created a very, very profitable business, and arguably that seems kind of fair value. Like 4 billion. Kaito is at 2, right? So
True.
PumpFun, I think, makes materially more than them.
10x. Yeah, 10x, exactly.
Right. So like, I don't think it's even that expensive. So I think people are just like, they look at it on a relative basis. Like, oh my god, these people have made so much money from you, and now they're doing but I don't think that has not been a real difference. If the token does come, it could easily go much higher than that, in my opinion.
So let's go there, right? Because market wise, whatever, not unchanged, like more on the downside, but still like whatever. Like Bitcoin's around hovering around 105K, and it's been very choppy. Memes got absolutely decimated yesterday. I mean, that Fartcoin dip was fucking crazy. You know, it's like PumpFun news came out and everybody decided to sell Fartcoin. But me, let the record show, and Tyler and Mando bought some per his tweet, and Tyler has his Fartcoin hat on because hot air rises. But it was interesting. So Tyler, run us through the news first, and then let's discuss it, because there's a lot of takes on the timeline. Some I want to share, some I don't really care to share. But I'm curious to hear what you guys genuinely think here. So Tyler, run us through what happened last night.
Yeah, so Blockworks is reporting that PumpFun is kind of shopping around, planning this $1 billion token sale that would value their protocol at $4 billion. We don't have any official details from the PumpFun team. A part of their announcement from Blockworks says there will be both a private and public component to the sale. We don't know the ratio there. We had folks like Cyrus tweeting again. This is rumor, but it was somewhat in line. He said that he was kind of DM'd some details about this potential token launch a few weeks ago. 1 billion raised at a 4 billion valuation. That was correct, at least from what Blockworks is reporting. He's saying 25% of revenue used for buybacks, 100% unlocked day one. Team investors have a 12-month cliff, airdrop to users, but wouldn't be on day one. So that's all rumor mill. Separate that from the concrete news. The concrete news is just the token sale and the public and private investor component of this. So we don't know a whole lot. And I think based on the news that we have, it's hard to really, for me, draw a whole lot of conclusions about what this means for the trenches, for the broader meme coin ecosystem, because there's still so many unknowns. Is there going to be an airdrop or not? Are they going to actually use buybacks to drive up the token price? I think those two components have huge swings in potential outcomes for this one. I have a lot of thoughts. There's a lot of directions we can go. I think first off, it's hard to get too caught up in what the majority of CT says. But man, we have the most viral apps created in crypto this entire cycle, one of the most successful. And the majority is complaining about them doing a token launch, which is
everyone is just hilariously broke for Bitcoin at this level. That's genuinely my takeaway. I feel like that is what is the annoyance about this. It's like we're still stuck in the trenches, like trying to play these games, and now they're even extracting another billion. I think that's basically what this is. And like Bitcoin is $105,000. I'm gonna say that. How long have we been doing this fucking show?
Well,
Bitcoin at $105,000.
But nobody owns Bitcoin though, right? Like that argument is right, Mando. But no one has Bitcoin, Mando. Like I get
maybe
the argument.
You should own Bitcoin.
No, I get that. So you're right. You're right. Like your argument is right. I'm just saying our listeners.
No, but like maybe we should.
My exposure to Bitcoin are Bitcoin puppets, and
maybe we should be focusing on the idea that people should be owning a bit more of that stuff. You know
you're
what I mean?
right. Pio to his defense, to his credit, sorry, Pio is like hardcore.
It's not even just Bitcoin. I mean, it's just memes, right? If you're playing the meme coins, I made this point on BCheck show the other day, which is if you look, because obviously I run a casino, right? Or we've set up a casino. You look at RTP of the games. You can look at and we have a 1% house edge on a vast majority of some games, and some blackjack games it's like 99.5%. That means out of 100 spins, we will win 49.5. You will win 50.5. Sorry, we will win 50.5. You will win 49.5. PumpFun as a casino, I think, has much worse RTP than that for the vast majority of people. They've made $1 billion. The trading bots have made $1 billion. I don't know how much Radium and Meteor have made, but I would guess it's in the realm of 500 million to $1 billion. And then you got to think insiders have got the vast majority of that. So I don't know how much are all PumpFun coins worth together. Can we work that out? PumpFun
4.5 billion to 5 billion.
PumpFun coin market cap. PumpFun coins market cap. Let me look.
How do you know that?
CoinGecko has it. So 3.7 billion. Okay, and I just said roughly 3 billion of that is already gone in fees. Okay. And now you've got to think that only one of those is really listed on centralized exchanges, which is Filecoin, right? Only really one, and I think Peanut is too. And other than that, it's like 1 to 2% liquidity pool. So with 3.7 billion, you've probably got about 100 to 200 million of liquidity to actually get out, right? Max. These are not easy games to win, is basically what I'm trying to pitch for people, right? Like, so if you are sitting there annoyed at suddenly PumpFun doing a token, like, you've just missed the point of PumpFun. It is a casino. It is a casino, and the RTPs are wildly bad. If you look at the number of wallets which make money consistently trading PumpFun, it's like 1%, 2%. I think in the last month, there was something like only 5 wallets have made more than 10K. I just like, what I'm saying about this is that you have to be very honest with the odds, and I think people get misconstrued with the odds here. Like, the odds are massively stacked against your favor if you're playing these games. You can get the 100x, you can get the 10,000x, but actually you're kind of betting at a casino. And if you have your whole portfolio in that, then it's a real worry.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think a lot of people have their whole portfolio in the PumpFun casino. I would think they have it in memes. Do you consider having a portfolio in like the larger memes, having your portfolio in the casino? Honest question. I'm talking about like Doge, Pepe, Mog. Not even Mog, sorry.
I think
coins above $1 billion, sorry.
More established memes, you can maybe, like, there's been value creation, but PumpFun itself as an ecosystem, and maybe Solana meme coins, maybe as a broader extension, but particularly PumpFun, that I just went through the numbers there, right? Like, about 3.7 billion of value created, about maybe 2.5, 3 billion of value already lost to fees. And then you got to assume which of those wallets have actually made the money, and can you monetize it? Like, Pepe has unbelievable liquidity, like unbelievable. Even Mog does, actually. Very, very, very good liquidity, and is listed on every centralized exchange, as does Doge. I think you've got to just consider the casino that you've been playing at here a little bit. And if you have been seeing it as that, and like, yeah, we can make money and it's 1,000x and it's a Ponzi that we all get into early, then fine. But like, if you're now sitting complaining that PumpFun's bringing out a coin, like, they just have created the best RTP situation for themselves, and yeah, like, people are going to continue to play at that casino, then cool.
Yeah, fair. That's very fair.
10,000 drag. Where else are you going to get?
I mean, that was the whole story of the cycle, right? Like, ICO Beast made a post about this along with Tyler. It was like, yo, like, the same people saying, oh, everybody's complaining you don't have enough Bitcoin, the same people that were pushing the daily runner and the hyper rotation, this cycle narrative. Like, if you don't hyper rotate, you're gonna miss out. And now we're asking people, we, not us, but like we, the people, are asking others, like, yo, why don't you own all Bitcoins? Because you guys were promoting the hyper rotation of tokens all cycle long. And actually, K-Money, to his defense, to his credit, sorry, not defense, he was the one saying, no, believe in something, because, you know, these guys, these marketers are like really crazy. Like, the rebranding of shitcoins to daily runner is gonna hyper speed this industry to zero, and looks like he was right. Tyler, you have been voicing on the timeline and behind the scenes how you don't see this as bearish memes, like Sol memes and Sol itself, because consensus has that. So what do you think of that? Because that was the first take of most people. I tend to agree with you, actually, because I like to maybe take non-consensus trades. So what does that mean? Like, what's your take here? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, my first gut reaction, it was kind of in line with everyone's. Like, this is going to be a big liquidity suck. Is this a top sign? Like, we all have PTSD from the other side meant in NFTs 2022, which was not obvious in the moment, but was more of an obvious top sign in hindsight. And then Deez ran his poll out, and like 75% of respondents said this is bearish for Sol and Sol meme eco. So I saw at that time like how broadly consensus it was, which made me kind of second guess my initial reaction. So I think there's still some open details that we need to be confirmed on all of this, but I think there's a lot. We need to know if there's going to be an airdrop or not. I think that's going to be a huge factor in this. I think there's also a component of where is the liquidity coming from the pump token sale? Like, is it actually the trench warriors, or is it institutions? Is it whales with deeper wallets, money that would not have entered the trenches anyway? And my gut is it's likely that cohort who is going to drive a majority of the PumpFun token buy pressure. And if that's the case, you can make an argument that it's more bullish for the eco, especially if you get positive price action and an airdrop, then that becomes a much more bullish setup for the Solana meme ecosystem. So I think that's one component. The second, I think there's a lot of people who are saying memes are done. The meme cycle is over. It's topped already. I don't know if I can get there. I feel like it's like saying that sports gambling is over. Like, I think people want to do this. Now, it doesn't mean that we're going to continue the same way that we've been doing. Like, maybe we won't have the meme runner of the day in this hyper rotation. Maybe it'll be more of a rotation back to some of the more stronger community tokens. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to move forward. I don't think we're going to see a total utter collapse of the Memecoin ecosystem overall as a result of this. But I'm still working through my thoughts, and I do think if PumpFun comes out and confirms the details and say there is no airdrop, we're just going to do this, and they're not going to do any buybacks, I think they're going to face a lot of backlash. And there's certainly no shortage of competitors right now. And if they face a lot of backlash, maybe PumpFun has topped. So we'll see. But which is why I don't think they'll do that. I think they will reward their users in some capacity. They see the success Hype is having with the buybacks, and of course, like they don't necessarily have to do that. But to me, you can run the scenarios. I feel like the upside that you would create with the token has to, and this broader positive community sentiment would have to outweigh, you giving up that portion of income. So that's where I'm at.
They'll do buybacks. They'll do buybacks. I've heard rumors that they have taken out so much money that they have been like debanked. The founders.
Yeah, those are not rumors. This is true. Because I've heard the same thing, and I know someone helping them.
They have made so much money that they've been debanked.
Well, it's normal, right? They live in the UK, right? And the UK doesn't fuck with people making money.
So maybe token is the best way to do this. Just platinum token, then token. They sell the token, and that's a better way of monetizing the money.
So there's some takes on the timeline. You got Andy saying universe where PumpFun launched at 1 billion raise is actually bullish for memes. Raises mostly filled with funds. People without meme coin exposure, aka no big liquidity stock from on chain. PumpFun then does an airdrop to users who get new liquidity funded by the bid. But then you have Spider who goes, PumpFun knows memes are dying, hence the token launch. At the end of the day, it's just harder for people to justify pushing 100K plus into meme coins, which is why internet capital markets is a refreshing narrative. Some of these coins can justify it if their flywheels are good enough. Can't help but feel that I want to expose myself less and less to meme coins. It's kind of like opposite takes here. Personally speaking, I don't really understand the take of like this is another Trump moment. Remember when Trump coin came and everything kind of dumped? As a matter of fact, Fartcoin went to all-time high last time there was a Trump coin. And the opposite happened yesterday. So we had an immediate sell-off, aggressive, of some of the top meme coins in Solana. Crypto UB was saying consensus is that Solana and Solana memes are dead here. Would be funny if. I tend to agree with that. But also sometimes I'm wary of being anti-consensus because sometimes like, hey, you're just that Japanese soldier meme, right? That's what Cyrus commented on my post yesterday. I thought it was funny. So what do you guys think here for Solana's ecosystem and its memes?
I mean, bring up every Solana meme coin. It's had a really good run.
I don't want to.
Well, Fartcoin was in March. Fartcoin was trading at 250.
You're right.
In April, trading at 400. Right. Mudang was at in April 40 million. Now 200. Like you're talking about big moves across the board in pretty much every single time. It's not been a bad period here for Solana meme coins. I would be a bit more wary. Like, I don't think this is, what I would say is, firstly, PumpFun has got a number of different people who are invested in it. Like, a ton of different people invested in it. And it was kind of already known that they were doing this. For the last month or so, there's been rumors going around that they were going to do this. And a lot of people have been saying on the timeline, this is a big worry for Solana because if they try to do their own chain, or this becomes a liquidity stuff. So the part of what you have seen probably over the last couple of weeks, at least, in Solana meme coins has probably been this, You hear this headline, like people see the headline, they're like, oh my God, I got to sell Solana meme coins. I got to sell Sol. And actually that's kind of already happened.
Yeah.
Like It's probably been happening for the last 2 weeks. You just didn't really know why. So I think part of the move has probably happened. But I do think that I'm just more bullish on Ether. I'm just more bullish on ETH. I think ETH has got a cleaner narrative. We had Joe Lubin on yesterday. It's not that I'm more bullish on activity. I actually think activity will stay, and maybe even fee revenue will stay with Solana. I don't think ETH is at that spot. What I'm bullish at for ETH is Hopium and the Treasury trade, which is basically what he is now talking about. The idea of companies coming in and building up ETH treasuries that potentially we're going to get ETH staking as well for the ETF, which allows for even more of this ETH treasury trade. And I think it's, part of it is also just a rebound from nobody owning it, like even before we went live, I was, does anyone own? I still don't think people even own it. Like they hate to own it. Like it's like a disease to own ETH versus owning an ETH.
I have to say, after yesterday, Joe, oh fuck, after the show I'll post a full interview because I really need people to listen to it. Joe cooked.
Yeah, but like think about how you own Sol, and you're like, I own Sol and I quite like it. You own ETH, and you're like, oh yeah, I don't know, maybe I should own Mog, or maybe I should own Pepe or Reg. Like you just like you're just told not to own it, and I think that is its strength if it does pick up, because I actually just think it's not even owned. Like it's as little owned by the trenches right now as Bitcoin, in my opinion. Like people do not own it. And I think that if it builds any sort of a narrative, can be very, very strong.
Yeah. Is yeah. Go ahead.
Is this PumpFun token going to be a buy at 4 billion? Are you guys clearing up some funds to buy on the gun or buy on the pre-sale?
It's really difficult because I think it's one of those classic things in DeFi where you like start annualizing like, oh my God, like the buyback's going to be insane. And PumpFun revenue is down 80% in the last 3 months or 4 months. It's down a lot. And that's because of other competitors and partly because the Solana casino has slowed somewhat after Trump. I don't know what the annualized revenue is on PumpFun. It's definitely very high, but it's probably in the low hundreds of millions rather than in the high hundreds of millions, I think.
Last time a company raised at $4 billion, I know it was not SEO, but it was Yuga Labs. So you can't compare tokens, but you can compare valuations, I believe. And Yuga Labs at the time was making a fuck ton of money too. In revenue, similar to PumpFun in terms of like royalties, etc. But I hate comparing because there's such bad comparisons. But the 4 billion, I don't know. Are you guys buying at $4 billion?
I would not buy, but Hyperliquid makes it look very cheap. The thing is, this is the Hyperliquid. Remember, looks very cheap as a chain, and
I'm buying at 2 billion.
Can look very expensive as an app. So PumpFun, if it's really smart here, and what people are already saying is they're actually pitching this as a chain, and it's going to be its own chain. And if that is going to be the case, then you could be like, well, this could be valued close to Hyperliquid, and with which there's like a really high upside, and like maybe it does build out the app ecosystem and goes down that route. But if it's just an app, then yeah, probably fair value is around that.
I think I'm a buyer. I'm just going to push back on the 80% reduction. I've seen people, I think a lot of the bears have been kind of pointing to that. It's like maybe it's down 80% from the blow off Trump 2-week tail period, but it's
PumpFun is still making a fuck ton of money. I don't know what bear case people are talking about. Yeah,
I'm making 1.5 million a day.
It's a great business.
So what's that? 500 million. How much is Radium making?
I think in line.
Yeah, I mean, PumpFun.
Oh, you got muted.
Audio's gone. I'm just looking at the Artemis terminal for how much Radium's made, but like there are some clear comps here, right? If it's just going to be an app, and I think that is that's worth considering, basically.
It is.
Sorry, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you now.
Sorry.
I think Radium's is not as sexy. I mean,
of course it's not.
That's going to be a dumb thing to say.
Dude, PumpFun's making a ton of money. Like, I just don't get the
If they announce a buyback, I think it's a double. I think you can 2x at $4 billion.
They're definitely doing a buyback.
Oh, for sure. That's the most easy flywheel, top line flywheel they can come up with, like buyback. Like,
Well, I'll be in the pre-sale if they announce that and confirm it.
I think they will do it regardless, Tyler. But I see what you mean. But yeah.
I won't be like shoving super hard, but
So let me ask you guys something. Should I do a pre-sale to Myriad? I mean, I'm looking at it like that.
Are you making $500 million a year?
Well, we would have done $4 billion, dude. Obviously.
I think everyone's looking at everyone look. This is just pocket watching, though, isn't it? It's like, oh my god, maybe I should do that because they're doing it. I think it's very difficult. PumpFun is, you know what I mean.
I mean, this is gonna be like ICO season. Like, yeah, you had the Kobe like sonar news not long ago with Echo. That was massive.
mm-hmm.
Like making ICOs pretty much legal. And now this, and people want to tell me they're bearish crypto. Like, you have an ICO kind of season coming here. Like, a lot of people trying to compare this to like a double top, saying the PumpFun Trump was first. The second one is this. Do you guys really feel that way about this PumpFun news? Am I crazy not to think that? Like, I don't think PumpFun's thing is gonna destroy the market. Like, why do people think that?
I have to say, the thing that I don't know if you will agree with me, I never go on PumpFun. Ever.
I haven't been since like Q4 or something. I've never
as an app, for me, it's more middleware, right? You're really trading on Flex, Photon, one of these trading bots that like actually make it discernible for you to actually view. Even the streaming content is not that good. So like PumpFun has made it very easy for people to create tokens, but like I don't think people like are hanging out on PumpFun. I don't know if like
not as much anymore. I don't know. Maybe they are. I mean, they're trying to get all these creators to make. I mean, now you have all the shows now. Like, you have the Gainsy show, you have Eddie's show. They're bringing a bunch of originals. They're going towards content. You're right. I mean, I don't go on PumpFun. I never did really. I bought a bunch of shitcoins there.
That's what I kind of mean. Like, Hyperliquid is an app that you go on and you use, right? I think PumpFun, you could argue, is overplaying.
It's a protocol.
As like a very democratized form of token creation.
Yeah, it is. It's a protocol. Like, BLA is right. That's the beauty of it, though. I don't go on the Radium and Jupiter often, but I'm still interacting with the protocol.
Interesting. What do you go on if you're not using Radium or Jupiter? Then I guess you're using
the like Photon or the
Photon Nova, like, you know, all these bonk bot.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Some people go on Jupiter quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I only use Jupiter.
And to be clear, BLA, like, that is the criticism of Radium too, though, that it was middleware. That it was middleware for other people. Yeah. PumpFun, to me, Solana's ecosystem feels very interdependent. You know, it feels very much like it all works because the other things all work together.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways. That's interesting. I guess we'll see. We do have Jason in the studio. I want to bring him onto this conversation because it's what up, Jason?
Hey, fellas. How you doing?
How you doing?
I knew you were going to do that with my accent. You can't help yourself.
How you doing, mate? Hey, show us the mullet.
Oh, the hair. It's getting pretty bad at the back.
Should I do one?
Yeah, party in the back.
Should I do one?
Sorry for offending all your viewers. That's my first course of action. Australian accent and a bad haircut.
Jason, I have a question for you. For those who don't know, Jason Atkins from ORUS. I mean, he runs his shit. He's the best. He's one of the most smartest people I know in crypto. We'll get to your interview in a few questions for you, like, that we've prepped up. But Jason, what do you think of this PumpFun news? Like, the market reacted in a certain way. You've interacted with Solana and the ecosystem a ton, and you know it very well, more than most people actually. What do you make of the PumpFun news for the Solana ecosystem and for the broader crypto here?
I mean, I was just in the waiting room listening to you guys, and Mando, you were making some pretty good points that if you're looking at we got this temptation in crypto to like value things on revenue or earnings of the firm as soon as we're trying to like work out comparables. Whereas if you look at something like Hyperliquid that's done so well, it's not just because of the revenue, it's because of the forward-looking outlook that they've explained about the chain. So to your point, is PumpFun just raising $1 billion to like add, I don't know, a new feature set to the UI or add new protocols that they're going to be middleware for, to your point? No, they're not. That sort of money has left, like, I think the main things we're missing over, we're getting distracted by like the $1 billion raise at $4 billion valuation. Are they going to do a buyback? When in reality, the question is like, what are you doing with the money? And that question is going to answer whether you should participate in the pre-sale. I think the buyback stuff, like undoubtedly supply demand dynamics, sure, it increases your likelihood of being okay at 4 billion versus waiting for a dip. But ultimately, can it go from 4 billion to where's Hyperliquid now, like 35, 36 billion? The difference between that, it's almost like it's speculative on the forward-looking outlook versus just a straight revenue calculation. They earn this much per year, therefore they'll do this buyback. That really is like a single point of failure that's pretty hard to sustain, because to your point, if the revenues of Pump.Fun keep coming off or don't rebound in the way that they thought, that valuation starts to become a question, because it's not what it was at the peak. There are less revenues. Can they reinvent themselves? So really, if the question I've got is like, what are you going to do with $1 billion? And I think before they run the ICO, they're going to have to tell investors what the plan is. Like, you don't raise that sort of money publicly or privately without like a data room and a deck and some explanation of like what you're buying into. Because if it's just, I'm buying into buybacks, you're kind of playing with like, when will the market work out that this is capped, and it's capped on, is someone going to come along and do what other NFT marketplaces did to OpenSea, right? Like at its peak, OpenSea, you would have looked at and been like, this is the thing, revenue's everything. And then how quick does that go? So I think you need it to be something more for 4 billion to be sort of a good entry point. You might get a short-term sort of double up, as you guys pointed out. But yeah, I think Hyperliquid's done a really good job of pulling liquidity and pulling users in. But of course, one discernible difference between what they've done and what Pump.Fun's doing is they've controlled every piece of the stack the whole way. Like, no VC money, they control liquidity on their product. So like, everything about control has led to like that initial setup for the token to do what it did. Now, I think it's done more because of like, again, the forward-looking prospects and revenues increasing and usage increasing, but ultimately it's control. Like, the tokens, very similar to like someone that launches the token, restricts supply quite a lot and controls everything, and is able to like make the price go higher. It's like, that doesn't necessarily mean it's worth what it's worth, but that control aspect is pretty valuable. And I think there's a pretty big difference between what Pump.Fun has got and what Hyperliquid's got. I think liquidity for the Pump.Fun token is going to be essential, because guys like you guys that may buy into the pre-sale aren't going to hold if this thing's whipping around super quick, constantly on very, very light fumes.
Obviously,
You don't,
other
you
things.
don't the trenches will hold on to PumpFun coin at $4 billion.
But actually,
I mean, the best thesis I've heard, we had this chat internally today, this is actually kind of an interesting theory, is that a lot of the firms during the meme cycle that wanted to participate in the trenches but just didn't have the expertise or remit to do so are looking for exposure to memes, and like maybe a single point of like basket trading PumpFun as the token. Because if meme cycle kicks off again and no one else comes and competes with Pump.Fun, let's assume they stay as the incumbent market leader, then Pump.Fun token will go up, and that's like exposure to every meme that will launch without you having to your point, Tyler, sit there and look at the UI and like grimace at how painful it is to even work out what's listing and who's listing it and why.
What if PumpFun makes some reserve?
Maybe that exposure helps.
PumpFun fart coin reserve. I saw Tyler tweet about that. I was like, what if they're going to do buyback?
You need the fart coin treasury strategy. No one's done that yet. That's exactly the key.
Exactly.
I mean, that's like the trendy thing to do at the moment. Reverse SPAC onto something on the New York Stock Exchange. Then use the assets to back buying something. Why not fart coin?
So that's a good question, and I want to get to interviewing you. But like AI Bro says, isn't that what the Solana token is for? Exposure to the meme coin casino.
I would probably say if you ask Solana that, they would say we're a little bit more than that. But yeah, I mean that's what drove it last cycle.
They drove it when Trump dropped the meme coin.
PumpFun, right? PumpFun makes more money than Solana. which is
Fuck.
so if you're just trying to get
Is this
exposure
pump
to
chain really happening? Like L1?
What else do you do with $1 billion in crypto?
Yeah, but what also do you need $1 billion to do a chain?
they need
You
it for
$1
the
billion.
Like $1 billion is a lot of money.
You want
to
to try
spend.
and call yourself as Hyperliquid, you need a chain. And
Yo,
I
PumpFun
think
needs to sponsor our show. Who's keen on
I think
PumpFun?
didn't they reach out? I remember hearing about that somehow. They
To
reached out
us?
directly. Yeah,
Dude, we gotta get them. We're about to relocate the show on Monday somewhere. Like, we get fucking stream on PumpFun. Yo, Alan, my kids are gonna be Jewish. We gotta work together. You know, come on.
That's a hard appeal to pass.
Yeah.
Exactly. Why do you think I'm with Vanessa? I'm trying to join the tribe.
my best friends are Jewish, man.
No. I'm marrying one. Okay. This is how. Okay. Anyways. Okay. Before I get canceled, on here. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with PumpFun. Yada yada yada. Look, we'll talk about the whole Magic Eden and
done
Trump thing. What?
Your point, Jason, what you said about the reverse SPAC stuff. No, we had Joe Lubin on here yesterday. Like, obviously, he's just done this.
Yeah, I saw.
Hasn't
Yeah,
somebody
because
done
we
that?
pushed Jason for Joe yesterday.
Yeah, I got kicked off the show. Though, as you were saying, Mando, no one holds ETH. I have some holdings left. I've weathered the storm a little bit. So I was happy I was replaced by Joe Lubin.
Yes, I was like, sorry, Jason, last minute got Joe on. Do you mind coming on Wednesday? But you know what it is? It's Trump, CZ, Joe, and then Jason. Up only, you know?
Yeah.
Only
Upgraded
getting better.
every time.
Companies that have announced they're going to do this reverse SPAC and that have mooned have been the Bitcoin ones, Soul Strategies, I think, and then now this ETH SharpLink firm. I'm pretty sure somebody announced they did it with Doge and their stock went down like 40%. And I think
I
when
was
there was
kidding about Farcoin.
no, but like somebody should do that, right? Surely they should do that with Doge, right? Like that does feel like the sort of thing that maybe Doge is the only asset in crypto which has actually outperformed Bitcoin. It's the only asset since it's like over the last, I think it's 5 or 10 years, whatever, how long it's been around. And yeah,
I think Doge has got Tesla. Like Elon at some point, or SpaceX is going to announce that they're going to hold their treasury in Doge.
So
Just
maybe
Didn't GME dump though on the back of the Bitcoin buys?
Mixed.
Yeah, they're down again. Mixed. Yeah, they're choppy. Okay.
I think
they're
Doge
up 11%
SPAC is the next. I think you're right.
Yeah.
But I think it's like there's a difference between like I'm going to hold my treasury in Bitcoin and I'm going to run the MicroStrategy playbook of like issuing debt and equity to buy more and more and more on this like infinite money printer glitch. I think like a company that has a slightly irrelevant business model, GameStop is like a meme at this point, to then go and like deploy assets into another. It's kind of feels like, why wouldn't I just buy Bitcoin at that point? Whereas MicroStrategy's got this like flywheel effect thing going that everyone else is trying to replicate. So slightly different like mechanics on it, but
so yeah, there's a lot. Jason, we need to have you more. I want to ask you some questions here, but we need to when we do the we gotta talk more markets with you on the show. You know your shit. I like that. These guys. Let's get into who you are and what you guys do at ORUS, because we talk about market makers a lot on the show. Obviously, we talk about Winter Nuke the most. But when the token dumps, Wintermute sends their regards. But when a token pumps, we definitely don't give them the credit.
I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that nickname before. That's not a bad one. Winter Nuke. It's the first time I've heard that.
I'm playing though. I like the folks there. I got some homies obviously out there, and they're some of the best ones. But Jason, you guys at ORUS, of course, we've hosted some events together. We recently hosted the Dubai Token 2049 event. You sponsored a ton of our events. You're partnering with us in many ways, which I can't talk about just yet on the myriad level, but soon. I can't wait. But why don't you just give yourself a brief intro and what ORUS does?
Yeah, cool. We do a little bit more than just sponsor events with Farouk and the Rug Radio thing, but so we're a market maker. ORUS is a global high frequency trading firm. So we started about 6-7 years ago now, as a group of traders, technologists that were just building out systems to trade across crypto markets at the time, really inefficient crypto markets, and mostly CeFi at that point. Yes, we spent sort of the first 3 years building out that tech stack and ended up becoming one of the largest trading firms in the world when it comes to the volumes that we put through markets, primarily at its genesis through centralized venues, but increasingly over the last few years as DeFi has sort of started to reach that feature parity area and start to deliver on the ability for us to be capitally efficient and provide our liquidity on chain. We've started to do that more and more. And we were just talking about it. Hyperliquid is a venue that we're pretty familiar with. We've done, I believe, the largest amount of volume all time on that exchange itself on the leaderboard, which people can take a look at. We trade on the venue. There's a lot of activity there, and it's one of the venues that we use alongside some of our centralized and other decentralized platforms. So my role at the company is on the commercial side of the business, so less on the trading side of things. I sit with the head of trading in Hong Kong and the trading teams there. My job is to work around how we can repurpose our ability to understand markets, provide liquidity, which is sort of what happens when we trade anyway in the size we do. How do we do that for external partners? So really working with token projects right from the early stage. We venture invest at like pre-seed and seed rounds, and then we start to work with the team to build relationships as they approach the need for a token. And now, as a token market maker, I shouldn't say this, but not everyone needs a token. But for those that do, they start to look into like, how do I create the best like garden for success? And when you're talking about like PumpFun and where can it go, 4 billion higher or lower, you're really discussing the granular metrics or things that would go into like building that flywheel or setting up that recipe for success. And that might be token buybacks, or it might be like best in class liquidity in the books. When you work with like a firm like ORUS, we're not directional as such. So like the pump.fun going up or down view doesn't really matter to us. What we're doing is acting as sort of volatility compressors. We're providing bids and offers into the books at all times to reduce that excessive volatility that can really make it hard for people to hold early stage tokens in particular. Everything right out the curve to smaller FDV projects, 50 million and around that region, and then right up through to the multi-billions of dollars of launches. We're pretty comfortable doing that stuff because we do it for ourselves, just in larger cap tokens where there's like an economic reason to do so. That's kind of a quick overview. I'm based in Hong Kong. We have 133 people globally now. We just opened an office in New York. Yeah, I think like that's fairly lean for sort of what we do in the space. But yeah, we've got just opened an office in New York where we're going to have a bunch of venture guys, commercial facing people, researchers. So primarily like a hub to make sure that we have more exposure to that market as the landscape's changed in the US, and happy to talk about our views on that as well. But yeah, sorry, that was longer than expected, but really excited to be here, and thanks for having me on, guys.
No, this is sick. Well, 130 people. I was not aware of that. That grew really fast. Question for you, because you said, not everyone needs a token, and that you help a lot of these companies, though. However, and we talk about market makers a lot in the space. I feel like market makers have grown to have this like more negative connotation now in the space, right? Tyler, Amanda, when I think about it, like mostly because of the meme coins in general, which is why the joke, right? Like Wintermute sends regards or DWF, whatever. But what's up, Mando?
Yeah, I think it's a misunderstanding of some, like, 'cause a lot of these.
Exactly.
Is ORUS delta neutral for a large bit of the business? Yeah,
that's the thing.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. I think, like Mando, you said, misunderstanding is probably the best way to put it. It's like people's crypto Twitter is fast. It moves at 160 characters longer now, but like it has that like short attention span. So surface level is as deep as they get. And like people come to us and they go like, market making is this, and they bundle 50 different activities into it, and they bundle up all market makers no matter how they operate or what they do, and it's all bad. When I would say, even if you get out of crypto and look in traditional markets, having a market maker there means that like people don't pay brokerage on Robinhood, for example. Like, and everyone likes that. I don't want to pay brokerage on equity trades on Robinhood, but I don't want Citadel to make money off my flow. You can't have both things.
Yeah.
They make money off your flow by providing you the very liquidity with which you trade for free. So like my first question to anyone who's like market makers bad, let's get rid of them from the space, is like, do you even understand how bad the spreads and liquidity would get? You think what happened when Trump launched a token and everything got sucked out? You talk about that across the space. So I think like getting deeper into the understanding of what differences are between what delta neutral market making, Mando, you've obviously understand this already. But what delta neutral market making is, where we don't take directional views on projects. We really are just providing bids and offers, being the buyer of last resort and the seller of last resort, to make sure that there's not that excessive volatility. Well, I think what people see is they see X sold to Wintermute or X sold to this market maker.
Yeah, exactly.
They think that market maker is being directional. Often, like this is just a broad brush, but like often when the market maker has a disproportionate amount of the supply, it's been sold to them by the team or insiders, and they have then hedged it with a perp or some other way of maybe a broader hedge across the market. And I think often what they look at then is like, oh my God, like X market maker has this much of a coin and it's gone down. And actually what they should have seen that as is insiders sold to a market maker at a price who then hedged themselves with some sort of
so what this goes back to my point. You've like grouped in. So what the transaction style you're talking about, that's like an OTC transaction to sell the tokens. We actually, when we're working with a project, we get loaned the tokens. So the transaction you see of tokens arriving in our wallet is a returnable loan. It's not a grant. It's not a purchase. We don't actually send them money at the time. What we sign up to do, and this is what we did when we got into the space, was we guarantee that we'll provide the liquidity with those tokens you've loaned us for the period of 12, 18, 24 months, whatever the mandate's for. And then we have an option over the top to buy those tokens off the project at a price premium. That's at the end of the mandate. That's like if I fail halfway through, like ORUS, I think pioneered in the space. This thing sounds crazy, but like contractual obligations, like saying what you're going to do, put it in a contract, and then if you breach it, the contract's ended and you get punished for it, which sounds insane to people from the real world where that's how it works everywhere. But in crypto, a lot of the time it was like, give a bunch of the supply, to your point, a lot of the supply to a market maker and hope they're going to do the right thing. I'm not of the belief that any project should hope that we do the right thing. They should understand our incentives, construct deals that, the structures that we use that make us do the job. If you don't get best in class liquidity from ORUS for the whole entire term of the mandate, we don't get paid. It's that simple.
Exactly.
And that's how it should be.
And we sort of stand by that, and we like to raise the bar, but that makes it hard for competitors, right? Because if they can't do technologically what we can do when it comes to trading, it's very expensive very quick. But that's kind of where we see our moat. We commit to doing what we say we're going to do. We put it in the contract. We guarantee it. And if we don't do it, there's economic punishment for us. And then we put up bigger numbers than other people that make it hard for others to keep up. That's how we approach the space.
But I love
the reason
that.
why you're like the number one trader on Hyperliquid is because you do a lot of this hedging sort of stuff, which is like what people can do, right? We've seen that with Athena, or we even spoke about the other day. Remember we had the show, we had this conversation on this exact show, and I said to you, instead of selling Farcoin, you could right now just short it on Hyperliquid. And that was the trading. When I was trading at like 1.4, 1.5, and I said like you could just sit there and earn a yield for the rest of the year, right? Risk free. And then you didn't. And then
well, because I don't know this shit.
What you do?
I'm gonna start market making my Farcoin position. I'm gonna hold it. I'm gonna be down a lot like I'm right now from the top, and then I'm just gonna hold it longer and hope that it goes back up.
Just to be clear, like we're not the number one trader of the Hyperliquid token, but we do trade a lot of it.
You're the number one wallet on Hyperliquid.
Like as in across the exchange,
yeah.
How much volume have you guys done on Hyperliquid, if you don't mind me asking? Because you brought it up. I knew that, but you brought it up. Like,
I think it's I looked a few days ago or something. It was 135 billion, I think.
you guys have done 135 billion dollars volume on Hyperliquid.
Just Hyperliquid, yeah.
That's just Hyperliquid.
Yeah, you can see it on the leaderboard. Yeah, 137 billion.
Yeah.
Hey, you got $2 billion since, a mere $2 billion. Let me ask you something, Jason, quickly. Just for the sake of, what can you share? Like, how much volume do you guys do in crypto in general, like on a day-to-day basis, a weekly or monthly? Because you said just Hyper, but I'm sure you do Crypto.com, Binance, or the Robinhood.
Yeah, it fluctuates. Like obviously, like peak trading days when the markets are super busy and people need to trade and there's lots of activity going on, we'll do a lot. I think our peak trading day earlier this year was in excess of 10 billion on centralized exchanges and 2.5 on chain, I believe, that day. So it's sort of like it's large numbers on a single day, but that's not consistent. Like I think a better metric of it is sort of around 2 to 3% of global crypto volume we're transacting. So I mean, it goes back to 130 people. I mean, that sounds like a few, but they've got a couple of things to do. But yeah, I think like really digging into the details on like what market makers actually do is super important. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have about it, or happy to
Well,
answer
what do you
questions
like?
from listeners.
Because I feel like you kind of I feel like you kind of went there, like, you know, how, like, what do you do and stuff, and then what's this misunderstanding that like degens have, or underestimation that they have about trading firms that silently operate like in the background like yours? But like, if you were to like explain in layman's terms exactly what you do and how you make your money on that $135 billion sale on Hyperliquid, the volume.
So the trading activity itself, man, it was spot on. Like we run
Yeah.
a lot of delta neutral strategies, like where you're looking at funding arbitrages and you're looking at statistical arbitrages. We have some quant strategies that run in the medium frequency space. We can see a high frequency trading firm. So we're looking at all the venues we're trading at, working out where we think our theoretical cheap and expensive point is, putting up bids and offers through the market, making markets. That's where the name comes from. And by doing that, we provide liquidity to people. So if you want to go buy a whole bunch of Bitcoin on one of the venues where we trade, which is the major venue where you would want to buy any size, you'd end up inevitably trading against us. So we're not unhappy to be a seller of Bitcoin there because we've got some other position on or a hedge against it elsewhere. And we're earning on, like Matto said, in a very simplistic manner, we're earning in other ways. We have strategies that on a long enough time scale, in a delta neutral fashion, will continue to add profit and revenue to the business. And the benefit to everyone, I kind of think, like, people say this sort of cheesy stuff all the time, but like liquidity ends up being like the lifeblood of the market. We don't trade that way on Hype, on Binance, on Coinbase. We just don't trade the way we trade in that size. Everyone's cost of transaction goes up.
So
and
true.
You have to start thinking like, cool, what am I actually buying in for? How do I execute it? You know, paying fees on every transaction I do, or is it like moving wallet money around, liquidity on bridges, all that sort of stuff? That's all underpinned by liquidity. And I think if people get away from the concept of like market makers bad, don't care if they're being liquidity, if they really dug into like what would happen, it's not going to be great. It goes back to like the heyday of, you know, some of the early exchanges where there was just no liquidity and the transaction fees people were paying. Now all of that gets dwarfed if Bitcoin does 1,000x again or 10,000x again, wherever you bought in. But ultimately, as the market matures and gets more efficient, it needs to be liquid. And another benefit that we provide is just because of economic incentive, not because we're like altruistic and helping the space necessarily, but we arbitrage prices back in a line. So it means if you're trading on a DEX or you're trading on a SEX or you're trading on some sort of hybrid version of that, the price should be the same, right? It shouldn't be a bad experience to be a US user and stuck on Kraken or Coinbase. You should be able to buy the token for the same price as everyone else.
100%. Some people loving what you're saying, Jason. Quickly, your Twitter account is OXJ Atkins, right?
Yeah, that's me personally. And then ORUS, I think, is ORUS_global.
Yeah, just for people who want to follow, it's ORUS Global. Jason, you didn't put a banner. I told you put a banner on your Twitter like a month ago.
My bad.
Damn it.
Sorry, I got to clean all that up. It's a dark space I've got to fix up. So,
you know, you're like one of the biggest chats and smartest individuals I know in crypto. And then I look at your Twitter page and I'm like, it's the opposite of it. You know?
Yeah, I know.
You come on here, you're so well spoken. People are loving you.
I'm more,
the comments are good.
Consumer rather than contributor. But
there's 2,000 people watching your video. Everybody's like, yo, who is Jason? You know, so I'm sharing his thing. You know, OX Jatkins, Chief Commercial Officer at ORUS. He's based in Hong Kong. Check him out. He's a guy with 142 followers, so he should probably add 2 zeros to that based on his input and what he knows. But anyways, Tyler, I think you got
I had a couple of questions. One quick one. Like, so do you ever take directional bets on tokens?
Yeah. So we like when you say directional, our strategy is broadly delta neutral, but what we're looking at is like different skews and parameters around the market. It wouldn't be like outright like we're going like leverage long certain things in aggressive size. We do have discretionary parts of the business, like our ventures book is outright long projects, right? We're investing at very early stage. So yes, we have directional positions in the firm, and we have traders of varying experiences across like really high frequency delta neutral stuff right into like medium frequency, where those sorts of like judgment calls start to play into it as well. But it's not really our edge. Like there are plenty of like big betting hedge funds out there that take huge directional bets, but yeah, most of the time we're trying to maintain delta neutrality so that we can continue to expand across the space and provide liquidity in bull and bear markets. Not good for everyone if like we're like ultra long everything and then bear market hits and we're like, we've just lost all our money and now we can't provide liquidity, and it's even worse for everybody. So kind of a good thing to be neutral.
And perhaps the last one, I imagine you have to have some kind of a broad market outlook, near term, midterm, longer term, as you're managing these positions and overall trading strategy. I think there's growing concern out there right now of a double top, of top sides. Trump going deeper into crypto, PumpFun token launch, like people are kind of adding to the list, but at the same time, we've got like this global liquidity influx, focus on growth. I'm curious what's your broad outlook on the crypto market right now, if you think we're in for a top or more room to go.
Yeah, look, I probably just, my background's macro, so it's kind of like a zoomed out approach. So I'll probably get away from like, is 105 region the sort of top for this round, and then we pull back. What I will say is the dips are going to be shallower and shallower and shallower. I think like the ETF news last year was this like buy the rumor, sell the fact. That's not a reflection of the fact that it's not good news. It's a reflection of the fact that crypto Twitter has the attention span of a 6-year-old. So but ultimately, if you think about who can now buy exposure that forces more buying of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and by proxy, the rest of the space as it expands, it's guys that move slow. It's guys that do quarterly investment reviews or yearly investment reviews. And they have mandates like, I can't buy an ETF until it's been around for 2 years. That constant pulse will sit under the market at all times. So like, am I bullish at 105, 110 in the short term? My guess is as good as yours. Am I bullish on the fact that this space is now inevitable and that we found product market fit and now we found institutional investment fit? Yes. And that will mean dips will be shallower than they have been previously, less painful. Even this bear market pullback that, we went back to 75K in Bitcoin didn't really feel that bad. Like a lot of money has been extracted from the space because of things like pump.fun and things like that, and a lot of the bad things that have happened in this cycle. But ultimately, it didn't really feel anywhere near as bad as what happened with FTX and the last real bear cycle that we had. So to answer your question directly, like I am bullish on the space. After hearing Joe yesterday, I'm super bullish on my very light Ethereum bags. But I think there's a lot of exciting stuff coming up for firms like us that are very finance DeFi focused, to see like the potential for what Joe was talking about, which is like a DeFi resurgence on Ethereum, because you've got really interesting features coming to the chain that will speed it up, make it feature parity with the fact that we're going to be able to trade on places like Mega ETH, for example, that's going to be designed around being super fast for firms like us. It suddenly makes our strategies deployable on chain versus previously we only had off chain. So I'm bullish on the overall like innovation that's coming into the space. I'm bullish on the institutional demand that will sit as a pulse constantly below the market, not to mention all these Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum strategies that are adding more demand again and again. And then I'm kind of bullish on the fact that we had trended from pretty much no on-chain activity when I joined the firm a little under 4 years ago to like 10, 15% of our firm is now trading on-chain. Like, do I see that trend continuing? Absolutely. What will make that happen? More feature parity, more things that we can do on chain, and then more users on chain, which I think if PumpFun's raising $1 billion, they're not doing it it's either they're doing it to raise $1 billion because of the valuation, or they're doing it because they've got something in mind that they want to do, build on the platform and the brand that they built. So I'm excited to see what that brings.
I'm with you. I appreciate your thoughts.
Appreciate that.
Anytime.
Some really good thoughts, Jason. All right. Any final things you want to share with us? I know we're over time. But that was really, really, really insightful, Jason. Any last things you want to share, call out here on the ORUS side, or we need to have you on?
Yeah, I'm happy to, like, guys, long time listener, first time caller, but like I'm happy to dial in anytime you guys want to chat markets, or if there's a big
100%.
launch coming up and you want to understand like how do launches work, or like what does it mean to like get a listing on an exchange. We can bring people on that are experts in that. We have a pretty good group of people across the firm that have been doing this for a long time. So understanding market microstructure, liquidity, supply, demand, how to launch a token, how to work with exchanges, all of those little things that like a founder who's a genius building Pump.Fun doesn't need to think about as much until they're launching a token. Happy to hop on with you guys and chat it through. I mean, I think if I can speak to your listeners and have a bunch of people that like go a little further than surface level market maker bad, I think that maybe I've added a little bit to the space, and hopefully we can have easier conversations with people that are looking for like true help to have a successful token launch. And that's where we want to fit and what we're trying to do for the space. So yeah, more than happy to, guys. And thank you very much for having me and letting me having the mic for a few minutes.
Boom. Appreciate it, Jason. Hang tight if you want. We're about to give away some money.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I'll be
All
here.
right, fuck it. Let's go. Let's go. All right, the code today was PumpFun, actually. I wrote raffleball.xyz. PumpFun, PUMPFUN. Mr. Sims in the studio. Let's see what you got for us. Let me log into. All right. Yeet. Eddie out. Woo! Look at that penguin. Eddie out. EDY out. Eddie out. Congratulations. Come cook, baby. All right, Eddie.
Well, no,
out.
Eddie was one of the winners of one of our 2 highest users on the FOMO hour code.
So what? He doesn't win?
He's basically one of our, no, he's in definitely, but he's one of our biggest volume users.
Oh, awesome.
He won the other week.
Sit. Let's go. Eddie out. Where is he though? He's not here. Uh-oh. He kind of got to be here.
Eddie.
Does it
Eddie
default
out.
to your guest?
Well, we have a raffle bot and everybody, so we give money away every day. Oh, default your guest.
To me.
You got enough money.
No, I'm just joking. It sounds like he's a power user for you guys, so you should definitely chase him down.
I know, but he's not here. Sims, where you at? We went overtime too. I gotta go.
Yeah, that might be a part of it. We did go over.
Yeah, we did go.
Sorry,
over,
that was probably my bad. I tend to.
No, it's not.
No,
It's
Jason,
us.
we need to have you on like once a week.
Yeah, dude, you should be coming once. You should be coming once a week for sure. Sims, what do we do here?
Happy to, guys.
Reroll, Sims. Let's go. Let's roll it back. Fuck it. He already won. Oh no, he's here. Never mind. Stop. It was the wrong phone. This phone, he sees the request. That phone didn't see the request.
Wow.
See that? That's crazy.
And
that's insane.
That request is on neither of the 2 phones I have in front of me. That's bad.
Wow. What up, Eddie? Yeet. So it's funny, the old phones don't show you, but the new phones does. Eddie, what's up, man? Congratulations. So first and foremost, you already won $500. So that's for sure. You might $500. Congrats. Second of all, are you watching us on video or audio? All right. Let's do some coin raise for you here, Mr. Eddie out. So you know the rules, right? We're going to place $250 for you on Fartcoin, and you have a choice to place $250 on either Solana, Ethereum, Dogecoin, or Bitcoin. Okay. All right.
Tell us what he did. He did Ethan, because we can't hear him.
Ethan Fartcoin.
Oh boy. Killer combo.
ETH and Fartcoin. All
What was
right.
the
Check this out.
Joe Lubin special from yesterday.
Yeah. All right. Check this out. Oh, you can't hear the song, eh?
Yeah, we can
Fartcoin got shot right away. Oh, is it bugging? Oh, Solana got nuked.
He's still there.
Hold on. He's got a shot here.
He's alive.
He's
still alive. He's still alive.
Go. No.
Oh.
Go. Oh,
That's such a
Bitcoin.
tease.
God damn, what a tease, mate. Oh, well, you don't. Oh, dude, that was Ethereum was first until the last second. So, anyways, congratulations, Eddie. You still win $500. Jason from ORUS, thank you so much for coming. Appreciate you. Love you, King. Tyler, it was a great show. Shout out to Mando. With that, we'll see y'all tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the episode of FOMO Hour on Rug Radio. Let's go.